Okay, sixth graders, for this lesson we're looking at what you do when you're multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. By the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to multiply fractions and mixed numbers accurately. So in 2005, the Bay Bridge toll for a car was $3. In 1939, the toll was 2/15ths of the toll in 2005. So we want to know what was the toll in 1939. One thing to look for whenever you see the word of, typically whenever you see a fraction in front of the word of, means you're going to multiply that fraction by another number. So we're going to multiply 2/15ths times the toll in 2005. Well, the toll in 2005 was $3. So when we're doing that, we can actually just multiply straight across. So we have 2 times 3 is 6. And then 15 times 1 is 15, because 3 is a fraction, is 3 over 1. Both of these are divisible by 3, which gives me 2/5. And 2/5 as a decimal, if I multiply each by 2, gives me 4/10, which would be 0.4, or in money terms, we'd put a 0 behind it, so it would be 40 cents for the toll in 1939. The really nice thing about multiplying fractions is it's as simple as multiplying the numerators and then multiplying the denominators. So for example, if I have 1/4 times 4/5, one way I can do this is I'm going to multiply the numerators. 1 times 4 is 4, and then multiply the denominators. 4 times 5, 20, and I get an answer of 4/20. Now 4/20 though can be reduced to put it in simplest form, because 4 goes into both. Divide by 4, divide by 4, and I would get an answer of 1, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, 20 divided by 4 is 5. Another way you can look at this is we can actually try and reduce before we multiply. So it's kind of like looking at cross products a little bit. So you're going to look at these to see if you can simplify. Since 1 and 5 are in lowest terms, we can't simplify. But since 4 and 4 share a common factor of 4, I can divide each by 4, and it becomes 1. So then I have 1 times 1, which is 1, and 1 times 5, which is 5. And in either case, we get the same answer. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try the next two on your own. So on this next one, we have 3/4, and we're multiplying it by 1/2. In this case, if I was looking to reduce ahead of time, 3 and 2 don't share any common factors, neither do 1 and 4. So in this case, we have to just multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. So our final answer is just 3/8. Then we have 1/3 times 3/8. Once again, if I'm looking to reduce ahead of time, 1 and 8 are in lowest, but 3 and 3 would share a common factor of 3. So I'm going to divide each by 3, turning them into 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. So 1/3 times 3/8 would be 1/8. If we look at this conceptually and just kind of draw a physical model, okay, so remember fractions are part of a whole. So if I'm going to look at, for example, the 3/2 times 1/4, or 3/4 times 1/2, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it into 3/4, or into 4 parts, and then I'm going to color 3 of those 4. So here's 1, 2, 3. Then going the other way, I'm going to split it into halves. And then I'm going to color 1/2 of that. So I'm just going to color here. So now if I look at everything, I've drawn a total of 8 pieces on my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But really what I want to look at then when I'm multiplying is where did I color twice? So in this case, I colored twice here, 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 or 3 out of the 8 pieces. So same thing with the 1/3 and 3/8. If I take my rectangle and divide it into thirds, and then I'm going to color 1/3 of that, and then the other way I'm going to split into eighths, and then I'm going to color 3/8 of that, three. Okay, I have 3 pieces this way by 8 pieces this way, which gives me a total of 24, and then I have 3 out of those 24 that are colored. But if I was to reduce, because 3 goes into both of these, I would get my 1/8 again. So now that we know what to do with fractions, now we want to look at what you're going to do if you're multiplying mixed numbers. So to multiply with mixed numbers, first you must turn them into improper fractions. So if you remember from a couple units ago, we're going to take the denominator, multiply it by the whole number, and then add the numerator. So in this case, I would have 3 whole pizzas cut into 4 slices, so there'd be 12 slices plus 1 extra. So I'd have 13 fourths. The 4 is always going to stay the same. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and pause the video and try the next one on your own. Hopefully you looked at, you have 2 wholes, each cut into 5 pieces, so 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 extras in the numerator, so we have 12 fifths. Now we're going to find each product in its simplest form. So 1 2/3, first we're going to change it into improper fraction. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, times, and then 2 fifths, since it's just a fraction, is going to remain 2 fifths. Here, remember we can simplify, so I'm going to go ahead and change these each to 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3, so 1 2/3 times 2 fifths would be 2/3. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try these next two on your own. 4 1/5, 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21 fifths. And then 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17 eighths. Now in this case we can't actually simplify anything. So what I'm going to do is just multiply straight across. So we have 21 times 17, which is 357. And then 5 times 8 is 40. Now that would be our answer in an improper fraction. If we wanted to change it back into a mixed number, remember we'd have to do 357 divided by 40. Since 40 can't go into 35, we go into 357. 8 times 0 is 0, would be 320, so we'd subtract, we get 37, so our whole number would be 8, and then it would be 37 out of 40. And depending on what they're looking for, either one of those would be okay. Our last one, we have 12, which is really just 12 over 1, because remember whole numbers are just written over 1, times 3/4. Here I'm going to reduce ahead of time because 12 and 4 share a common factor of 4, so 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So now I have 3 times 3, which is 9, 1 times 1, which is 1, and 9 over 1 is simply 9.